Rosy Hardy Gardening. Today the video is about my 5 favourite tall plants for your borders or containers. Tall plants are something that is over 1.20 m or around about 3.5 feet. If you enjoy this video, please do subscribe and check out other videos that we have done. So, the tall plants that I have here today range from things which are just at 120 to things which go up way up nearer to the 2 metre mark. Now, some of those you may think, well, you wouldn't want to be putting them in a container, but some people have large container gardens and they put some really quite tall things in those. Other people are wanting tall plants for the back of their border, and sometimes, as with the beautiful Stipa Gigantia here, they can be put nearer the middle or even the front of the border because the height is right up here and your stems there you can see through. So they're what I would call transparent plants. So let's start with the ones that I've got here. This is a beautiful Veronicastrum. This is Veronicastrum Adoration. They are wonderful plants, really good as nectaring plants, and they don't just have the main spike here. As you can see, they put on an array of flower as you go down the stem, and they will go right the way down. The beautiful thing of these plants is that when you look down on them, there is a whirl of leaves around the stem. So every junction there is a whirl of 6 leaves and it looks absolutely beautiful. If they lose their tops, they will send up flower from lower down as well. Now this is not at its full height at the moment. This one can get up to somewhere around about 1.50 m. And they are beautiful, lovely lilac, and the bees and the butterflies, pollinators adore them. There is a slight perfume with these as well. Now they are used a lot in herbaceous plantings or with grass plantings. They can also be put into the shady areas. So a very useful, upright, strong-stemmed herbaceous perennial. Now, if you want to go for something which has got a completely different type of flower, then this amazing scabious-like plant, which is called Cephalaria Gigantia, has these beautiful, soft, lemon yellow scabious-like flowers, but they're not in a massive clump, as you can see by this. Strong stems, and they will just billow in the wind. This is something that happens with the tall plants. You get that wonderful movement with them. And this has its first flowers coming up, then you have your secondary, and then in here there are more as well. Now this makes a really big clump, this plant. You will find that you get a large amount of leaf and then you get a lot of flower coming off. It's really beautiful. I would always expect this plant to be back of the middle to the back of the border because it is such a large plant, but it could still be grown in a big container and give you a lot of flower in a border. Again, it is very good for the pollinators. All of these plants are divisible, and most of them will go in sun. The Cephalaria prefers it sunny, but it will take part shade. Then we've got this beautiful thing here. This is the Thalictrum. This is Thalictrum Elin. Thalictrum Elin is just starting to put on its flower heads, and it is not at the height that it can get up to. In the borders it can get up to 2 meters tall. It clumps up, makes a lovely big clump at the base with its foliage. Then foliage is up the stem as well. Lovely dark stems on this, and then very airy flowers at the top, which are lilac and a little bit of soft yellow with the anthers there. And again, it's one of these plants which you get movement in. It's a very upright plant, so even though it's that high, it is not very wide, which means that it fits into quite a small space at the base, but then goes up and gives you all of that wonderful height. This is something that I would say could go middle to the back of the border, again container growing, and a really beautiful midsummer flowering perennial. So that is your Thalictrum Elin. Then we have this, the Sanguisorba. Now, there are lots of Sanguisorba that you can get, but this particular one I like. This is Martin's Mulberry. Now, Martin's Mulberry has got these beautiful flower heads here. Lovely mulberry colour. They almost look like the mulberry fruits as well. So they're really, really lovely. So you get a long flower stem like this with lots and lots of these mulberry coloured flowers all on the top here. When they have finished flowering, they still stay there with a lovely seed head, so they're very architectural. They have quite a small leaf, cut and divided, very, very toothed at the edges, and they make a reasonable clump. And these are something which billow out, so they make a clump at the base, and then they can go upright but then come over a little bit, so slightly arching. Really, really lovely things, and they are great in borders which have a reasonable amount of moisture. They don't want to be in a really dry position. That makes them very useful for normal herbaceous, or they can be in mixed plantings, etc. Again, it is a divisible plant, prefers it to be a little bit sunnier. Then lastly, in the top 5, we have got this beautiful Stipa. Now, this is the one that I explained that you could have slightly further forward. The reason for that is that the actual foliage is low. So the foliage is only around about 60 centimetres. So that comes into your front of border size plants. And then its seed heads go up and arch above here. But you can see through all of this, so you could have plants planted behind it. So if I put that behind like so, and I even put the Thalictrum behind like so, you can see what I mean by this being a transparent plant. It can be further forward in the border, even though its seed heads are going to go up to about 1.70 meters. And they're just fantastic plants to have for height, spectacular, and they move with the breeze, really, really good. And these can be dried and used inside as dried flowers. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching, and please do subscribe.